Oh, they're gonna get jokes off with the way me and James are dressed. Like
Well,
she's like,
I'm the
Kenny's
only I'm the
didn't get the
only
memo.
city slicker here.
You didn't get the memo.
I didn't have a flannel for flannel day, and I guess James and I are making up for it here.
Did you watch the quarterback one? I watched
I
like
watched a
episode
little
and a
bit.
half. It was cool.
I don't think
It
I
was cool.
saw a full episode. Did you watch any of that stuff, James?
No, I don't have
Yeah, I
time for
didn't.
that.
I tried. Like I don't. It just didn't hook me very quick,
It showed a
and
little
I kind
different
of
side of
left.
Pat Mahomes, I thought, from what I saw. Like
Okay,
he's a little more he's a little more intense than maybe I thought.
is that Peyton and Eli's?
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
Is that Peyton and
think it's
Eli's
Omaha
thing?
Productions because I know they're going to be. Yeah, it should be because they're going to be on this NBA one too.
Oh, really?
It's going to
Okay.
be Omaha Productions, Barack Obama's thing, and then LeBron's.
Got you. Hammer, what do you think about this series that Domas is going to be a part of?
I think it's huge for him. Like this is a guy who can't get the respect that he deserves on the court. As far as like, I mean, off the court, on the court, like fan voting and all that stuff. You have the Kevin O'Connor thing, and that's sentiment of maybe a handful of journalists out there. But this is a guy that if he makes the All Star team this year, that's number 4, right? So he's like 1 or 2 away from like being Hall of Fame status. This is a way for me to get himself out there as just sort of the cool gentleman dude that he is off the court too. And I think he'll pick up a lot of fans around the world that will watch that. And so I think it's a good thing for him. This is like being around him all the time. Like we don't get to see all the sides of Domas that his teammates do, but I get to see plenty of it. And he's funny. He's just a real fun loving guy, and I think that like this will humanize him a little bit and take away some of that sort of stoic thing that you get on the court from him.
Yeah, one of the things that we just couldn't believe, and it to our we follow the team. We know these guys, like, or know them as much as we can, aside from somebody outside of Sacramento. But like when everything was going on last year with Sabonis and Draymond during the playoffs, like it was crazy to hear the people in the Bay Area talk about, oh, Domas is this, he's that, he's a 10. And we're like, you guys are crazy. Like this is the furthest thing. Like he's number one, like probably one of the nicest guys you'll meet. And the last thing he wants is like extra attention. And this, to your point, James, this will maybe give the rest of the NBA world an insight to what we feel we already know about Domas.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the purpose of these shows, right? It's to give you a glimpse behind the scenes of maybe who these guys are that you just had no idea. And for me, again, I've spent enough time with him, not just like in huddles, but like I'm in the locker room in pregame every night, and I hang out. I don't pull my recorder out very often and actually record and ask people questions. I'm just like you try to be part of their culture, part of their world, and allow we all have conversations. It's not all the time that I'm talking to these guys, but I do get to see some of the fun side of him, and I just think he's a good dude, and I think that's what you'll walk away from this thing. He's a family guy. He's got 2 little ones at home. They've really like bought into what's going on here in Sacramento and the family vibe, and and not only that, but he's got a really interesting story. Like I still haven't got to sit down and write the son of a legend story that he is. It's something that we don't get to see Arvidas all the time, and we don't get to. No one gets to sit down with him, but it would be cool to tell that story of being a player who his dad is just this gigantic human being, both on the court and in real life. I mean, he's seriously one of the biggest people you're ever going to meet,
Mhm.
and it would be cool to dive into that story and really be able to tell it.
Vince McMahon would have loved Arvidas.
Oh man,
he would have beat Hogan in 91.
Hey, he would have been champ.
He absolutely would have beat Hulk Hogan in 1991.
What are you doing messing around with this basketball? Come over here.
I can hear it. You're listening to D-Lo and Casey on KIFM West Sacramento 98.5 FM KRX QHD2 Sacramento ESPN 1320. Always live on the 1320. What are we live on? It just switched up on us. It hasn't been the same for 4 years. It's the Odyssey app.
I'm about to say, did it?
Nope, it's not. I'm just an idiot, and I can't read what's directly in front of me. We're live on the free Odyssey app. We're live on the TuneIn app. We're live on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter as well. To
us in Damien's spaceship from anywhere.
Yeah, or yours, or James's. Because like jackasses, we park all right next to each other. Sophomore class right there, all the big hot Scots. Walking into work with our Letterman's jacket on.
You said we're the clique. We are.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you.
We are the three best friends that anyone could ever have.
Yeah, he doesn't get the click reference. He'd be the kid in the click reference. He'd be the 1, 2, 3 kid. You look this up later, James. Let's stay with Domas, though, because Domas had a monster performance last night. And I want to make sure we start there. There's plenty of other things we could talk about in as it pertains to that Detroit Pistons game, Hammer. But can we please start with the 37-point performance from Domantas Sabonis, which I had said earlier in this week. I don't think we're ever going to get that from Domas because I just didn't. That's just not how he's going to play. And literally days later, he goes out there and has a 37, not only a 37-point performance, but a pretty hefty 37-point triple-double.
Yeah, I know you guys won't get this reference at all, but I'm sure some of my friends out there will. There's this scene in Goonies where they're trying to escape the pirate ship and get out while the walls are falling around them, and Sloth lifts up a rock and holds the rock up while everybody else scurries between his legs to safety, and then he gets trapped inside. And then eventually he escapes, but that to me is exactly what Domas was last night. The walls around him were crumbling. It was nothing but chaos and a bunch of guys who forgot to set their alarm clocks. And he's just battling, saying, please let me hold on and give us enough that when we ride this thing out, we still have a shot. And sure enough, he did. He ends up with a huge night, but realistically, his work in the first quarter, while that thing all hell broke loose and they couldn't defend anybody, was just a masterclass in how to be a strong leader and a teammate. Just like, look, I get it. None of you guys got it. You guys don't have it tonight. You'll get it eventually, but until then, I'm going to hold down the fort. And then we saw Malik Monk come in the game and was like, oh, no, this isn't happening. What happened in Charlotte is not happening again. I'm not getting pulled after 5 minutes. I'm going to jump on board. And the next thing you know, Keegan Murray says, oh, wait, that's that guy that was drafted after me that they took the pictures with the top 4 picks, and I wasn't in the picture. I've got it now. And so we saw this sort of this momentum build, but the key was Domas being able to just keep them within striking distance early in the game, because it was a hot mess. And until everyone else woke up, to me, he's just such a star for this team.
Yeah, not everyone.
Some people alarm clock had AM and not PM. They just never woke up. Like 5. What was it? 5 o'clock start. So 7 o'clock start over there. It was 7 a.m. on some people's iPhones.
There are some people's alarm clocks that I think might be set for February 9th at this point. There's a countdown.
True that.
There's a countdown on their phone. Just all right.
Yeah. Facts.
27 days, 14 hours. Goodness gracious. It was a unique game. We were talking about this with Will Z a few minutes ago, with the fact that they couldn't hit the 3. They hit, I think it was 3 in the whole first half, but just were absolutely dominant in the paint. It's the first time, and I'm sure it's happened more, but it's been glaring recently. It was the first time I remember, 3's not dropping. Okay, let's do something else. Oh, Domas is cooking. Let's just keep giving the ball to him 2 feet from the rim. And he finished.
Yeah, what they have 82 points in the paint. I think it's the highest in their history. Yeah, that was
82
like
to
a Masters.
46 was the final tally for
82
the two.
wow.
82
And
to
I'll tell
46.
you, that's not the craziest most points in the paint I've ever seen. Like my first year, the Denver Nuggets rolled in with George Karl and put on the most incredible clinic I've ever seen. I think they had something like 92 points in the paint. They had one jump shot that went in and a couple of free throws like the entire game. They didn't make threes, they didn't make jump shots. It was all points in the paint. And it was an embarrassing game to watch for the Kings. Um,
Sounds like it.
but like look, like sometimes you got to grow up and you got to play smart basketball and you got to climb back into a game. You can't just let every game that gets out of hand just be a blowout. And this is twice now we've seen them claw back into a game that they had no business being part of. This and the Atlanta Hawks game, but that's good. It's a sign of something. I know it's not a sign that they're learning how to not go down big in a game, but it certainly is showing you that maybe they're figuring out that the game isn't over in the first quarter,
Mm.
which it's felt like a couple of times this season where they're just like, all right, well, we're losing this one, might as well pack it in, and that's how you lose 10 games by double figures out of your first 14. So yeah, I think there was a little bit of learning in that, and can they do it on a second night of a back to back against a team that beat you like this last time?
James, I've been saying a couple different times today. I said, you know what, this Kings team, and I was thinking about it as they were giving up 47 points in the first quarter. I said, they're trying to tell us something. They're talking to us. And I can't decipher what they're trying to tell us, but they're trying to tell us something. Now, I've speculated on what that could be. And I think I came around to the fact that they are everybody is waiting for a move to be made so they can move forward. And not necessarily like the people who aren't going to be traded want the move to be made, but they want to know who they got going moving forward. And I feel that's what I kept coming around to is the uncertainty is really bothering this team right now.
No, I get you. And that's where I kind of circle Harrison Barnes and say, like, look, he looks distracted. The first two plays of the game, I tweeted out after the first two plays of the game, oh, look at that. Harrison Barnes is being aggressive. He took the ball to the hole in the first, like one of the first possessions. I think it was the first possession. And he kicked it to the corner and they missed a three. Then the next time he came down, he took it right to the basket and he got fouled. He goes to the free throw line. You're thinking, okay, maybe Harrison Barnes is going to have a game. And he bricks both free throws. Then he finishes half with, I think it was something like 8 minutes, 0 for 0 from the field, 0 for 2 from the free throw line, 1 assist, no rebounds, 0 points, 0 fouls, 0 turnovers. It was just like, man, that's a ghost. Like, what is happening? And he's such a pro's pro when it comes to this stuff normally, but I think this time around it may have got under his skin. Like hearing that he was almost traded for Pascal Siakam last week, I think that's sort of jarring. I think that when he walked into this contract, he understood that there's a good chance he wouldn't see the end of it in Sacramento, and that the Kings, if nothing else, were doing him a favor by giving him 17, 18, and 19 million over 3 years with a 15% trade kicker on top of it. So if he does get traded, he was going to walk away with another 6 or 7 million bucks. I think all of that stuff is now like playing out because it doesn't feel good to be on the block. It doesn't feel good for everyone around the league to be throwing your name into every trade. And this is year one of your contract. If it doesn't happen right now, there's a good chance it's happening this summer. There's a good chance you're going through all of this again next February if it doesn't happen this summer. And so you just really do have the realization of what it is to be that guy on your team right now. The guy who is very likely not going to be there after February 8th. And that's tough because I think Harrison has put a lot of heart and soul into being a Sacramento King over the last 5+ years. And, maybe like I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway here when it comes to just this is a tough time. And a lot of players handle it differently. And I think he's probably going to figure it out. But for right now, it doesn't feel really good. And I mean, look at how it's manifesting in Kevin Herter. I mean, the guy can't hit a shot at all, even when he does earn his starting spot back by playing hard. And he still played hard last night. He had the big block. He had 5 rebounds. He had 5 assists. But man, you're known around the league as a shooter and you can't shoot. That's tough. And I think with every player it's different, but for him, it's manifesting in his ability to shoot. And Harrison, it might be manifesting in his aggressiveness or his willingness to call for the ball and just be a louder, part of the rotation.
Hammer, if that's the case, if yours and Kenny's assessment of what's going on with this team is the case, James, we got like a little less than a month before the trade deadline. We've got a ton of basketball games to play. Is this what we're doing for the next month?
Man, I hope not. I hope that one of these alerts that comes in from Shams or from Woj, or that we get the news. Yeah. That we're breaking something. That's what I hope, that something happens sooner rather than later. And look, I think the Kings are definitely in that mode. They are looking to improve today. They're not trying to wait around until February 8th. That's just a mystical date that's hanging out there. It's the last day you can do anything, but they would like to get the assignment turned in well before then. And whether that happens or not, like, who knows? But I think when you do that, if you're able to make an early trade, then what if another trade comes up that helps your team as well? So you can start getting the ball rolling on what your team is and what they're going to look like, but then you can throw in another piece or two. And I honestly think that, the Kings would like to move. If they're going to move, they'd like to do it now. They'd like to, as quickly as possible. Let's give yourself 45 games to get these guys together and let them build some chemistry and everything else. But it takes 2 to tango in the league, and it's not always easy to get a deal done when some of these guys are looking for the best possible deal that they can possibly make. And that usually requires someone being on the clock to make a deal like that.
And James, just if you can speak to the aspect of, the other aspect that I talked about is like feels like the rest of the team, like guys that are secure here, they're not going nowhere, but just the uncertainty of if these guys that they enjoy or don't enjoy, I think they all enjoy each other, but say person they don't like, if they're not going to be here, in 2 weeks, like that, it feels like that's bothering those guys just as much. That's what I'm reading when I keep saying they're trying to tell us something. Like the people who are going to be here, who are solidified here, I don't know if they like the uncertainty of what's going on.
No, I would agree with you. I would say the De'Aaron Fox it's a little different for Fox. Fox looks like he just went 15 rounds with somebody. That's what he looks like at this point. He's just beat up. He's been carrying the scoring load for this team all season long, and we're just seeing the hiccup. And like, if you look back historically, De'Aaron Fox has always had a hiccup. He's always had a small stretch of games where he doesn't look like himself. But I expect him to pull right out of this. Watching a guy like race down court and go up for what was probably going to be like a two-handed dunk and just throw the ball up in the air. Like, it just doesn't make any sense what we're seeing from Fox, except for the fact that it does. It looks like he's beat up, and not only is he physically not 100%, but I think he's also like mentally he's fatigued. And we'll see him come out of this. His body already looks like it's starting to recover, because I thought last night he looked more like himself as far as just the athleticism, the defense, the way he was moving on the court. But mentally, you can tell like he's a little beat up. And like, to your point, him and Harrison Barnes are close, and him and a lot of players on this team are close. They've been together for, if there's anyone that De'Aaron's been with for like on this team for years, it's Harrison. He got traded there, in De'Aaron's second season. So they've been together like for most of this time. And there is a lot of love and a lot of respect between those guys. Like, the Foxes know how much Harrison Barnes means to the team and means to the community and means to what they've built here. and they've never wanted him gone. And so if he is traded, it's purely a basketball move. It's because they need to get better, and that's a position where they can get better at. But like I've told you guys, if they don't have to move Harrison Barnes, if there's a way to somehow go get Kyle Kuzma for a package that doesn't include Harrison Barnes, I think that a lot of people would be fine with that as well, as long as you're getting better as a team. And, having Harrison Barnes as like one of your 3 guys off the bench, probably be a pretty good team.
Well, let's stay with that line of thinking, Hammer. Not Kyle Kuzma, but Trey Lyles. Is there? I know a lot of Kings fans have talked about it today. Is there a case to be made for Trey Lyles starting and Harrison Barnes coming off the bench?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I continue to say the same thing when it comes to this question. I like Trey Lyles a lot. Like, you guys know that I tweet out about Trey days. I talk to Trey all the time. He's always reading a new book. I'm always checking in to see what book he's reading. He's a good dude. I know how much he wants to be in Sacramento, how much he loves Sacramento, how much he's felt like this was his basketball home that he had been searching for forever. But at the same time, like, Mike Brown's defense is very specific. It's a switching defense, and it's nonstop switching all day long. And the fact that you have 2 forwards in Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray that are defensively switchable, that can guard each other's man at any time, that's why Harrison Barnes continues to start. And I don't think that, while Trey Lyles is he's fine defensively. He's not great, but he can hold his own. He's not that type of defender. He's more of a 4 or 5 than he is a 3-4 or a 4-3. And I don't even think he can play the 3. So I get what Mike's doing there. And I also would say, like, you got to, at some point, you got to think about value. And even if Harrison Barnes has a bad night, we're talking about a guy who started, I don't know how many games straight now. But it's in the hundreds. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there could come a point of, if this just keeps going like this, where you do have to make a move. But I think Mike is going to try to keep mixing in Trey, going to Trey for longer minutes, just like what we've seen from Malik Monk playing longer minutes. And then I think he's going to try to steal minutes with guys like Juan Toscano Anderson, or players like that, like the Keon Ellis's of the world, where you can mix and match rotation. So if Harrison isn't holding down the fort, again, worry about who's finishing the game. Worry about who's playing the most minutes. Don't worry about who's starting and who's not, because this starting lineup is still one of the best in the league. Like, there's still like a plus 12 per 100 possessions on the season. I think like before last game, they were top 5-man lineup in the league in point differential. And, like, this is a good starting lineup, even if they aren't playing at the level that everyone should be playing at.
Is the whole theme of today seems to be Lassie. They're talking to us. We're trying to figure out what they're saying.
What is
What
it,
are you
girl?
saying, boy? Girl, what are you saying, girl? We're trying to figure out what they're
Aaron
saying.
fell down a well. We've got to go save him.
De'Aaron did fall down a well here. Yeah.
Do you think Mike was Mike talking to us when JTA got those first quarter minutes?
Man.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, Mike and Juan Toscano Anderson have a long history together. Like, he's here for a reason. He's here because Mike wanted him to be on the roster during training camp. He wanted him on the roster during summer. Like, this is a guy that he has faith in. It's a guy that he has familiarity with. He's a guy that, if nothing else, that he's going to bring energy, right? And that's, again, look why he's played Keon Ellis. It's about energy. It's about changing the dynamic of what's happening on the court, bringing something new to the table. And I think maybe it was a little bit of a shot to bring Juan Toscano Anderson in, but I'd also, like, look, he's on a 10-day contract, and he might be on a second 10-day contract, but his 10-day contracts will run out before the trade deadline. And so, like, there's only so much they can do here. They can come back around to him after we get past February 8th, but the Kings are the management team on this squad, they're going to value that open roster spot above everything else. So you can't rely too much on JTA because there's just no way for him to be here unless you make all of your big trades right now, open up a roster spot, and then go sign him, and you ignore the fact that Keon Ellis probably deserves that spot before he does. And so I think it's going to be complicated there, but I do think that, as long as they can have him around, Mike's probably going to like go to him when he can. And yeah, sometimes it is proving a point. It's just to say, look, that guy's doing what I want you to do. If you're going in the game, I need you to be disruptive. I need you to get deflections. I need you to just try your hardest the whole time you're out there, because if not, I'm going to go to someone else.
I think there's a lot more to talk about there. And we will. Thankfully, James isn't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, we'll be your pregame show today. We'll take you all the way up to the Sacramento Kings and the Charlotte Hornets. We'll talk more with our insider, James Ham, with Elon KC. Brought to you by Sky River Casino. Returns here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Still good for Matt on Sunday? That's in studio. We got to dress nice.
What do you guys have in studio?
We're going to go see Matt for the first time. Matt and Kevin John. ABC.
Oh, nice. You guys have been following the Scott Pollard stuff today, right?
Sort of. Like, I saw it. I'm not a fan. Like, I didn't read it. Like, I don't wish the man. I don't know. It looked like something was going on. I don't wish the man any ill will, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, he needs a new heart. He's on the transplant list. So
good luck to him, man. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Good luck.
He's a different cat. I don't know.
I just don't really appreciate some of the things he had to say about DC following.
Yes.
His boy. Yeah, I have a problem with that.
There's been a lot of like splintering of that group on that front.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't wish the man no ill will, so I hope things
Yeah.
turn out okay for him.
Yeah.
Man, I was going to ask you something during the commercial break. I don't remember what it was. Did you get that note from Charlie about your time card, Hammer?
No.
Get that can you get it turned in today?
Did
you already? Oh, okay. Yeah, if you already did, that's fine.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, if you already did, it's nothing.
No, I'll check and make sure.
Oh man.
Man,
I guess we got to.
We were seeing Nick Saban's last game at the Rose Bowl.
Harbaugh retired him.
Harbaugh.
I'm sorry. I love you. And sent him on his way. I don't know. Pete Carroll looked pretty damn chipper in that video they just showed a second ago. I don't know what he said, but
he might pull a Bruce Bochy and come back and coach somewhere.
Well, how long was Bochy away? At all?
Yeah, maybe 2 years.
That's what I thought. Okay.
After Harbaugh, Carroll's like the top coach on the list, right? Or is it someone like Vrabel as far as like most sought after?
It's Carroll.
No, I think it's if Pete Carroll's I think it's Pete Carroll. Yeah, I think it's Pete Carroll. I don't think Mike Vrabel's going to struggle finding a job, but maybe my whole thought the pissed off Gatorade bath. That was a good one. God damn it, guys. Look at here's your towel. Here's your towel, Nick.
The funny thing about that, you hear that, I forgot who else did. Oh, Belichick. It's like people are like, yeah, Saban's a really nice guy. Like he's really fun loving, but you would just never know it from his coaching style.
Yeah. I think it's not even his coaching style. I think it's his public approach. I mean, I ain't heard a player say a bad thing about him. He's one of those guys like his players love. He does look perpetually cranky, though. Man, literally will win.
So quit asking.
He'll win a national title and not smile. He's already thinking he probably has to recruit the next day, so he's like, whatever.
Oh man, I got to do it again.
Yeah. So I'll switch over to what I assume is Mike and Mo.
I'm not making a change, so quit asking.
Who did he yell at? It was Maria Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did.
That's who
He did.
who yelled?
When Nick Saban yelled at Maria Taylor about during some pregame, or it wasn't pregame, it was halftime. He said sorry. He recognized it was a little aggressive. Or someone told him, hey, coach, that was a little aggressive, even for you.
And he goes, well, at least I wasn't making things up.
Well,
Well,
shout out Carissa.
Well, coming back, Hammer.
All right. I had to do my prize picks.
Man, Kings basketball coming up here in just 20 minutes.
Mike
looked good today.
This is a nice suit he got on today.
He had a nice suit on yesterday. I just think Mike looks weird in suits. He's a big dude.
This is in Charlotte. This is a D-Lo special. 7:00 start.
It's supposed to be 7:00. That's what time. That's what time God intended.
7:30.
Games to start. Only Devils start at 7:30.
Prime time, baby.
Nothing good happens at a 7:30 start time.
Philly and the Kings are going to start at 7:30.
Yeah, that's horrible
on Friday.
Well, that's not 7:30 our time.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's 4:30. It's good. I prefer 4, but 4:30 is fine.
When the Kings start like really getting them national TV games on Friday night, those will be 7:30 starts.
All right, well, maybe we don't need to get that good. Just let's win games, but only to the point of 7:00 starts, or when be so good that the Kings go, no, we're not starting at 7:30. We're starting at 7.
Let's just make the rule.
Whatever you guys want, Sacramento.
Yeah, if those games, they can't be Monday through Thursday. I can't do that. Yeah, that's the 7:30 because then
awful.
I never ever get out of there, and then the next morning I'm like dragging into the studio. Like,
what about this situation where like the Kings get on Wednesday night basketball, a 5:00 start? Warriors are playing at home tonight at 5.
Yeah. Is it 5:30?
Yeah, 5:30. Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
I got plenty of time to get down there.
We'll miss it, but no, I'd be happy for James. James gets James go cover the game. We'll be on 102.5 just like we will be today, watching the basketball game.
We're here.
Yeah,
be home by like 9:30. That'd be amazing.
Ridiculous. 5:30 home game.
Yeah, that is tough. A Wednesday primetime game. That's pretty tough. I'm anxious to see what that arena looks like.
Quiet.
I'm in.
It's quiet anyways. It's quiet when it's full. It doesn't matter. We talked about all of the shuffling in the lineup. I mean, we were talking about Juan Toscano-Anderson a few minutes ago and how Juan Toscano-Anderson got a 10-day yesterday and immediately played in the first quarter of a Sacramento Kings game. And of course, that's the ultimate. Well, Mike is pissed. He's just all over the place with this lineup. I don't want to be outside of the Duarte Herter stuff because that's new. We didn't see that last year. I feel like Mike did this quite a bit last year as well, where he tries to find a spark, and it would be, Terrence Davis would play for a stretch of games, and then he wouldn't, and he would just find different guys to play different stretches, and they'd play 3, 4, 5, 6 game stretch. They'd magically fall out of favor. Sometimes you would know why, sometimes you wouldn't, but he was going to try to find something. My question is, Hammer, what the hell is Mike looking for?
Yeah. Okay. So yesterday on the show, Kyle and I, we talked about this a little bit.
That's the Insider
I said,
12 here on ESPN 1320.
That's right. And I told Kyle, like, look, I think this might be a game where, number one, he goes back to Chris Duarte. He goes back to Kevin Herter. I said, I also kind of looked at the game that Keon Ellis had last night, and I kind of feel like it's possible he goes or on, what was it, Sunday night. I said, I think it's possible he goes back to Keon Ellis. And hey, I also think it's possible that he's had enough of watching DeVelle McGee play, and he's going to go back to Alex Lynn. And sure enough, I looked at the sample sizes before, and the problem that we have here is that if you want to stay in the lineup, then perform. That's
Mm.
it. Like, go out there, do the job you're asked to do, and perform. And it doesn't have to be, we had the same thing last year with Chimezie Metu. Chimezie would have a great run of games. And then all of a sudden you could see Chimezie start to do some things. It didn't make any sense. All of a sudden, didn't he have 8 3-pointers in one game? Didn't he have 8 threes in didn't he have 8 shots in the first quarter? And everyone like, oh man, you're done. Like that's the last we're seeing of you. Like, unless you hit all 8 of those, you're getting a big old hook, because that's not who you're supposed to be on the court. And like, I've been tracking what Davion Mitchell had done over his 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
He just wasn't good. Like,
Mhm.
sorry, it just like he had a couple of games where he came in. I thought he was impactful. It didn't matter about scoring, but then it starts to snowball and he becomes less and less effective. And that's why he goes back to Keon Ellis. And I think the same thing about Chris Duarte. Chris Duarte had that great game where he had 12 points and 7 rebounds. I think 4 of his rebounds were offensive. 3 of them went for putbacks. Did you guys realize he didn't have another rebound in the next 3 games? Just none, 0.
Jeez.
And so you look at what they're doing, and it's like, hey, he gave you an opportunity and you didn't take it. And 5 or 6 games for Mike is where he kind of cuts the line. Like, okay, I gave you a shot, and now I'm going to go back to what I'm used to. And I also, in doing that, I may have motivated the other guy to come back in and take his job and be ready and play hard when I do call on him. And so I don't know that it feels all that good for players all the time. But I'll tell you, if you're one of those, last year it was like 1 or 2, right? One position, maybe a half position of the rotation. This year, we got like 3 dudes who put themselves in this situation all the time where Mike needs to make a change. And it's not 1 or 2. And it might even be more than that. Like, it's probably more like 4, because I think Harrison has put himself in this position too. And Mike just doesn't have somebody to replace him. And, again, we can talk about the Trey Lyles thing all we want, but at the end of the day, like, they don't have another guy who's a starting caliber small forward that can play 30 plus minutes a night. And until they do, Harrison is probably going to keep getting that opportunity. But the other guys, okay, I do have somebody else, and I'm going to switch it out. And I'm going to like try to motivate the team in a different way, or motivate specific players in a different way, because realistically, this team is built around De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray, and Malik Monk. The rest of them, like, those, you have to earn your keep, and it's maybe it'll be 5-game stretches, maybe it'll be 6 or 10 or whatever, but you got to earn your keep.
So earlier, Damon, you talked about like these guys being uncertain of their role, and that could deal with the performance. And I get that those things happen in sports, right? Like you just get an opportunity and you don't know what your role is, you're a little hesitant or whatever. And we never got back around to it, but this is a good time. I feel like in this situation, if I was a player, Mike wouldn't have to tell me what he's looking for. It's clear as day. If I want to play, defend and rebound.
Mm.
It's clear as day. And if you do that, you get your shots, all that stuff will fall back into play. But play with a certain pace on offense. Look to push the ball and play team basketball. But if you want to play, defend and rebound, that would be your ticket. That would be your ticket to get more playing time. And I think that's what he's searching for right now. Somebody that consistently will defend and rebound for this team. Because we saw last night, I think last night there was only the 4 guys in double figures, right?
That's it. Yeah, which it was a part I found concerning.
They scored
it was the big 4. Yep.
And they scored 131. Let's say Domas has 27 instead of 37. Maybe you'll get to 120. I got 4 guys that'll get me to 120.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I need some people that are going to defend and rebound. And I think that's the key to getting on that court consistently.
I'm sorry, James. You had
Go for it.
4 points with the 2 guys in trade discussions.
Yeah.
You had 4 points if you make it the 3 guys in trade discussions. But the other one, I'm trying to be fair to Davion, he didn't play.
But to Casey's point, look at what Trey Lyles did, and it's not always about scoring.
No, he did.
And
He did a lot, and in Herter's defense, he did too.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
but like at some point, and we was talking about this earlier. At some point, for Kevin, that's not bro. You got to score.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Oh, no,
you're
totally.
a 3-point shooter. Like it's
Absolutely.
great that it's great you're not invisible. Man, you gotta knock down this three, boy.
Yeah.
That's what you
Oh,
do.
Well, and then especially if you got another gaping hole in the starting lineup, then you have to hit shots.
Yeah.
If I don't, we'll just say Harrison because he's the other starter. If he was consistently, not like what his stats say, but consistently giving you like 11, 12, you could wait a little while longer for Kevin Herter. But because both of them aren't giving you nothing, I guess with Herter, you don't have time to wait.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by the fact that they haven't just swapped Herter and Harrison Barnes in their offensive set. So, like the forwards, wings are supposed to run to the corners, right? And then a lot of times it's those guys who are getting left out in the cold. They're not getting the ball back. And I'm kind of wondering why they haven't moved Kevin Herter into that corner spot until he finds a way to heat back up and let Harrison Barnes be part of like the 2-man game and, sort of the rotation around the top. Because I don't know if you guys are looking, Harrison Barnes still shooting 41% from 3. He's just not shooting it. He's just not taking any shots. And I think the Kings, it's on De'Aaron Fox, it's on Domantas Sabonis, it's on Malik Monk to try to find a way to get these guys going. And I know all of them can score themselves, but sometimes it's about saying, okay, how do I find a way to get Harrison Barnes 2 extra shots tonight? Or maybe 3 extra shots? How do I find a way to get him rolling? Because they're a better team when Harrison is playing well. They are. And it's not just about like, okay, the 4 of us are going to have to carry this thing the whole way. Like I look at the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks have 2 players and that's it. Like you look at their stats from last night, that's it. They got 2 dudes and nothing else. That's not how the Kings are built. They got 2 dudes. They got a third guy who's up and coming, and then they got another guy off the bench. So now they're up to 4 dudes. But those other guys, they have not been bad players. I mean, Kevin Herter was the 3rd leading scorer on this team last year. He averaged 15.2, and Harrison Barnes was right behind him. Like these guys were actually really good players for the Kings last year in this all in together 4-man, like 6-man, 7-man rotation that everybody scores and everybody has a good time. I don't know what broke and how this has happened, but like it's on those other guys to try to figure it out as much as it is for Harrison Barnes to figure out why not only does he not get any shots, but he doesn't even touch the ball. He doesn't. Like, look at his usage is nothing. And his usage is so much lower than any point in his career. And you're like, oh, well, he's not passing the ball. He doesn't have any assists. It's like, because he's not touching the ball. That's it. He's not getting the ball at all. So Herter is a different story. He's had plenty of opportunity to find himself. You just need to like shooters go through this, but this is a long one. This is a long stretch.
I don't know what the answer is, man. I don't know what the answer is for any of these guys. I guess you just hope the shots start to fall for Kevin Herter and he gets into one of those rhythms where, you starting the clock tonight now would be a great time. Hey, man, Kevin Herter shot, 44% from 3 over the course of the last 10 games or whatever. I mean, playing well at the start of a 5-game road trip. Hey, let's go. Let's work with it. Again, it's great you're doing all the other stuff, man, but hit those shots because they're going to be there for you every single night. Every single night they're going to be there for you.
Well, I want to pull up this Scout Recycler in the chat says Kings can't afford to have 2 starters get nothing. And the fact is that the Kings can't afford to have 2 starters get absolutely nothing because they keep winning games even though they have 2 starters getting absolutely nothing. But if that's the way you're going to be built, then those 2 dudes need to be incredible off the charts defenders. Like they've got to, you need Matisse Thybulle. You need, name that guy that the Danny Greens of the world that just sure on occasion they get on a heater and they knock down a bunch of threes, but their purpose in the lineup is to support those other guys by playing phenomenal defense. And that's why I think you're looking at Herter and Barnes being mentioned in all of these trades, because like, look, if this is how we're built, then I don't need you to be a guy who shoots 40% but never shoots. I need you to be a guy who can lock down somebody or who can block shots to support Demonis Sabonis, who can stop an inline drive from happening so your center doesn't get caught in rotations all the time and pick up fouls. That's where you're going to see this team really change and morph. It's that they've gotten to the point where 4 players are so good that those other pieces that are coming in can look way different than they do. And it's why Keon Ellis keeps getting an opportunity, because he can at least bring defense and energy and hit an occasional 3. And he fits into what's happening on the court. So
What do you think is going to happen tonight in Charlotte, man? Do you have any read on this team at all? A better one than mine right now, because I actually think they're going to play well in this game for whatever reason. But I guess you never know with the squad.
I'm going to say that I agree with you, that they look at what's ahead, that the last thing you want to do is go on a 5-game road trip and come back 1-4 with your first win being the first one, because it gets a lot tougher after tonight. You got Philly. What do we got?
Philly, Milwaukee, Phoenix.
Milwaukee. Yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, and Phoenix is playing better than they were before. Like, this is a dangerous, like 5-game road trip that if you don't survive it, like the next road trip is what, 7 games, and of the 7, like 5 of them, 6 of them are winnable. This is not that road trip. Like, you got 2 winnables up front, and then you got 3 tough ones on the way out the door. You know, that last game on a road trip is always tough. And just the way the flight and everything is of this road trip, it's gonna be a little brutal. So you got to take care of this one, because it only gets harder from here.
Oh, well, that's great, James. That's just fantastic. Just fantastic. Of course, I almost said the Pelicans. The Hornets have a ton of players out tonight. PJ Washington is out tonight. There was actually something on Hoops Hype this morning about Charlotte's not interested in trading LaMelo. It's like, oh, I understand that. How about PJ?
Yeah, PJ.
How about anyone else on your team?
PJ can pull up over here.
How about PJ and a Martin twin? I'll take it.
Yeah.
James doesn't even care which one. Just give me a Martin twin. I know you.
Don't.
Cody's the one in Charlotte, right?
Oh, I think
James
so.
doesn't care. Just give me one of them.
He's out tonight, but no, he's questionable tonight. Whichever Martin twin it is, he's questionable tonight.
He's questionable because Monty's on the road trip trying to get a deal done.
There it is. I see you working.
Now we're talking.
No, I'm literally making stuff up. Please don't.
Yes. Now you're just making. So you see, that's what happens if you become a newsbreaker. You can't go back.
It doesn't matter if I'm a newsbreaker or not. People don't take me seriously. You print it in the Athletic, and it's the gospel. We talk about it here for 3 days, and it's like, oh goodness, how about that?
Huh.
All right, whatever, man.
Imagine that.
That's what I said. I guess we got to tweet more. That's how it works. Did you thought De'Aaron was looking a little better last night? I thought he was still I thought it was funny. I was watching De'Aaron, like he still looks off, like he looks a step slow, and he still looks quicker than everyone on the floor. Like he can still, like he's, man, like, yeah, De'Aaron's going through it. Look, he just beat 3 guys. No, but it's still not right though. It's like he didn't beat him by enough. And I know you feel like he's kind of kicking out of this a little bit, but any thought that maybe he should chill, sit one, load management?
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard disjoint?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you're starting to, I mean, you hope that he pulls through it. And again, they track everything, and they may see something that we don't, or they may see what I saw in the last game. Like, I think I saw what you saw, but I think more it's the mental side that I think he's still trying to like shake out of, like just being in a downswing. But yeah, I think this is one of those games where you probably see a big bounce back from him, and then we forget that he just had like a lull and that he looked like he was exhausted. You'll find a way to get this guy time. in between games when you can, and I'm sure they're working hard to make sure that he's that he's in the best health that he can be. But also remember that the road is a different place, and for guys like De'Aaron that are pretty quiet and kind of homebodies, when they're on the road, they spend a lot of time just relaxing and doing their stuff, like hanging out in the hotel room. Um, and so sometimes this can be easier than being at home, to heal up. Even though the travel and everything else, it doesn't matter. Like getting away, focusing, like having all of that, the outside stuff. It can be easier when you're on the road and just kind of, regain your focus.
One guy who doesn't need to regain his focus is Domas Sabonis. Let's just keep that going.
Yeah.
This guy's dominating right now, man. Let's keep that up.
I mean, and if he does, James, he might actually get attention.
Settle down.
Well, he does have a Netflix series starting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually, but the push notification was LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, and others.
Was it? Yeah.
They probably look at Domas like the Mariota. He's almost out of the league.
That tough story there in Sacramento. Domas, how are you dealing with being in Sacramento?
What's crazy is he's scoring, he's rebounding. Like all of his numbers are skyrocketing across the board, and he's over 20 points a game. He comes in tonight at 20.1. He's leading the league in rebounding at 12.8. He's up to 7.8 assists per game. Over his last 13 games, he's at like 9.6 assists. Like all of his stats are on the rise, and just what he's doing is remarkable. The fact that the Kings are losing these games the way they do, it's a disservice to him because it's taking the focus off the fact that this team is 8 games over 500. If they were 8 games over 500, but all of their losses were close losses, like he would be getting so much more notoriety. That's just the way it goes. Like the fact that they let off the gas and they have these moments where they become sort of the laughing stock, even if it's just for one night. It kind of leaves that, it lingers a little bit. So yeah, man, this is the Kings found a gem. Like he is an absolute joy for this franchise. He's just such a lunch pail dude. And, he's a guy that is perfect to build around. I don't care what anyone says about him not being able to block shots. Go trade for a shot blocker. Go get him a shot blocker to play alongside him. Like, do whatever you can to do it. Give up all the picks, whatever it is. Go find somebody that can support him and like sort of fill the voids in what he does, because everything else he does is amazing.
Pretty sure there's only one dummy complaining about his shot blocking.
Yeah.
Knowing Domas a little bit, are you surprised he agreed to do this?
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe his agent had talked him into it a little bit. I think the same thing with De'Aaron. I think De'Aaron probably would have done something like this, maybe, but it would have taken a lot of prodding. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. It's good for him that this is that he's allowing himself to be seen in this light, to open your doors, because he's very different than like the like stoic, like super stern look that you see on his face all the time during a game. He's very, very different than that. He's kind of like a big kid. Like he's goofy. He does funny things all the time. I mess with him because he's always, every single day, he's messing with the temperature in the room. Like he's the guy who messes with the thermostat. Like he's just
never been more relatable.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, he also, just so you know, he wears flannel. Yeah, he does. Like on occasion.
I don't know.
It's really expensive flannel,
Just
but
gonna burn this when I get home.
I love it.
Try to step out once and just get heckled for going on 5 hours over it. Man,
yeah,
that's hurtful.
No, I'm excited to see what it looks like. Again, I'm excited because I think anytime you can let your guard down and let somebody in and show that other side of you, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought he'd probably be more comfortable in a setting like that versus in a recording setting, a relaxed setting, like a non-post game setting. stuff like that. I thought that probably fits him a little better, a little more in control of those. He talks so fast when he talks to you guys. Because I feel like he just wants to get it over.
He's intense.
Yeah, just get
Yeah.
this over as quickly. I'm not here for that. Hey, what'd you guys talk about in your meeting with the coaches? That's none of your business.
I'll keep that.
He didn't say that. Yeah, it's between us. Kick rocks, Jake.
Jake, I just keep that to myself, Jake. I don't really want to talk about it. Just something we'll keep as a team.
Was that
That's
your
right.
Domas impression? Oh no! No, we're back to no. We're back. No,
Jake knows that was Domas.
Don't co-sign. You're not co-signing that, are you?
No.
You're not.
He got me to stop editing.
Okay.
He's talking fast enough, but the voice, the sound's not there. But he's talking fast enough. We got to work on the voice, but the sound, like Jesus, like he's got it.
Yeah, it's staccato. It comes at you quick. Yeah.
Let's keep working on that one a little bit more. We're gonna.
I see the vision.
We're gonna go watch Kings.